NorCal resident here. This has been an issue for a long time. NorCal's always conserved water better than SoCal. 10 years ago when there was a drought, it was the same story. Hasanabi is correct in his assessment of the water issue. This is purely LA County and SoCal not managing themselves effectively, and right-wingers are taking advantage of that mismanagement just to fuck up the ecosystem so their golf course can be green. It is shocking to me that people can be so openly ruthless and so awful that they could just turn around and look at, you know, entire cities being eviscerated by fire and go, how can we present this in the worst way possible through misinformation that we can get people tuned up and primed to advocate to make sure that there's more irrigation, more mismanagement of water, so that we can have golf courses and more agribusiness in the region. That is legitimately gross. I don't know how else to describe it other than just it's gross.
Line of cars is. It is far. I had to stop walking. I had to return back to the truck because I couldn't get that far away from it. So that just speaks to how anxious people are to get to their homes, to check on things, to get things that they need. I spoke with one man who was here trying to get his son's medication, and that was earlier. Those were the only people they were letting in via escort. When that escort was here, were those to get medication or something important like that. Earlier, when we were on, you might have seen me speak with a woman who was also trying to do the same thing and just check on her home of 20 years. She's lived in this area 40 years, you know, and just concerned for her home and for the community around her. So that's the situation out here. Again, it is moving, albeit very, very slowly, as people try to go back and check on their homes and their property.
Zach, I've noticed 2 people had to be turned around and left the area. What's the litmus test for being able to go in? You wait all that way and then you're turned away. What's the litmus test to be allowed in?
Okay, so here's how it's working. So they're looking, let me have you, Alex, show that second.
They're checking people's IDs to see if they have identification or any sort of paperwork that proves that they're from the region, because they're terrified of looters actually running into the area to steal stuff.
On camera, that'd be furthest to the left. And so they're looking at driver's license, trying to see where people are and then group them in, like I was saying earlier, to get people going at the same time in one area.
They are literally going to turn away people that live in this area if their driver's licenses are, you know, if their driver's licenses don't show that they're from the area, just so you understand.
And like this media truck coming in right now has been through, so they might recognize them and let them through. But the first time you come in here as a member of the media, or maybe anybody else too, they are looking at our press badges very closely. They looked at our press badge, and then they asked to see our driver's license. And let me tell you, they were looking at our names. They were looking closely at our pictures to let us in. And so you see that guy, he's been in here before, so they kind of know him already. And I just say that, too, as I was saying yesterday and earlier today, that they're being very serious about who they are letting in, because we know that the arrests have been made for people not following the curfew, or, of course, for people who are looting, which has been a major concern of so many of the residents that I've been speaking with. And it's also been the reason that so many people said that they would or have stayed back behind in their houses, too, because they were concerned about looting. And so you just have to think, imagine somebody staying behind because they're concerned about looters, and then the unthinkable happens. A fire comes down, and that their life is at risk now because they're afraid of somebody taking advantage of this situation. But to those people, I am telling you that it is a very hardened perimeter around here. We can't guarantee that, you know, your home won't be looted, but they are taking this very seriously from what we can see here on the ground, and for us to even come in. We have a big, huge news truck. We're, to me at least, very obvious media just by our vehicle, but they still checked our badges and our identification. We had no problem showing that because we know how serious the situation is and how concerned residents are about looters or anything else going on around their property. Whether it's standing or not, these residents are concerned, and they're also very anxious to get in. Now this
Bro, I'm not kidding when I say this is disorder and more. This is more of a clear indication that we are at the verge of societal collapse. A normal, functioning, civilized society would not have these issues. You only have these fears, okay, when there is an unimaginable amount of wealth inequality where people are so starving and so desperate that they're literally doing the most inhumane thing you can do, taking advantage of a natural disaster like this. And I also personally think that they're greatly overemphasizing the dangers of looting in an effort to do propaganda, in an effort to show that the National Guard and the police are actually valuable resources. Meanwhile, you got the actual valuable resources doing their very best to put out these fires, working around the clock. It's crazy. The disaster is natural to an extent. Wildfires are a natural disaster, chatter. That's crazy.
Thank you for pointing out that there really are no homes in Mandeville Canyon that have burned except for the one that we saw.
I think that's the other issue here with fires. People always immediately think of like arson and structural fires, not realizing that no, wildfires are a natural disaster in the same way that a hurricane is. There are methods of prevention, but you can't 100% eradicate it. If that was the case, Australia would never have a wildfire season. Okay? Like if that was the case, there wouldn't be a wildfire season. You can harden your infrastructure ahead of time to try and ensure to make sure that you max out on defenses to ensure that the damage is as marginal as possible. But yeah, obviously wildfires are still a natural disaster. Black residents whose homes have been burnt down are being detained and harassed by the LAPD in Altadena. Yeah, I heard about this as well. Hasanabi, you can say this is a natural disaster. We're also saying global warming is increasing the occurrences and severity. People are trying to outwoke you. No, I think people don't understand. I think because most of the fire that you see or experience in normal conditions is just like a structural fire, you know what I mean? Like a gas leak or something. So they just don't think that it's like a natural disaster. It's understandable. They don't think about it like in the same way that they do about an earthquake or a hurricane. That's what it is. Because if you don't live in an area, where there are wildfire seasons, it's pretty hard to comprehend. The only thing you see is an electrical fire, a structural fire, a gas leak, things of that nature. Not realizing that, like, no, there is, this is a natural disaster.
Did speak with, they told me that the wind is actually working in their favor right now, pushing those flames away from structures as opposed to toward them. So they are using the elements to their advantage. Something else that you couldn't see on the ground, those ground attacks, there are dozer lines that are being created by CAL FIRE crews right now. In addition to that, we have the LA Department of Power and Water monitoring those transmissions lines along there. They said they are securing them, making sure that if flames get close enough, they can de-energize them before it poses an additional risk. Now, along here on Skirball Center Drive, there are more and more people that are coming up to take pictures, to take video, because this is an image that you just haven't seen. I want to introduce you right now to Nicholas, who tells me he lives nearby. We also have Jacob joining us. Now, Nicholas, Jacob, you said you live nearby. What brought you out here today?
I mean, as you can see right here, Milken Community High School. This is the high school I grew up at. If I can take this.
Oh, I'll hold it for you.
Perfect. This is the school my sister's at right now. It's just truly unbelievable. It's unfathomable right now. I'm just scared. I was just at Bel Air Crest helping my friend evacuate, and I just drove by, and I'm just in total shock. I'm in disbelief right now.
I think I bawled there.
You were telling me that
mistaken.
last night you were helping people evacuate?
Yes, last night my friend lives right over this yellow tape right here. Me and Jacob, we were just running and just trying to do everything we could to help our friend. It's just so sad. I mean, all we can do right now is pray for our firefighters, and just pray for everyone right now. I mean,
Jacob, I want to talk to you because you were telling me just about watching, neighbors helping neighbors. I know I met someone earlier who said they were helping people who may have been medically challenged, who had oxygen tanks get into their car. Tell me what you saw last night.
Honestly, I just saw a lot of people who were already done evacuating, helping out their neighbors, no matter what it was. At the end of the day, nobody wants to see anyone else's house or their belongings burned down, and I think it was a beautiful thing seeing neighbors go out of their way to help people that honestly maybe they've never even spoken to. You know, you live next to someone and you don't always talk to them, but when hard times come, you know, everyone helps out. And especially around here, you know, I went to elementary school just right over there, also at Stephen S. Wise, and high school here. And, you know, the community around here is, they love to lend a hand, and it's a very nice thing to see.
I saw nothing but constant looting.
When it comes to just this imagery right there, have you seen anything like this? Have you seen a fire like this before?
No, I have not. During our high school time, there were multiple fires. You know, school got canceled, but this is something I don't even know. It's insane. This is like out of the Bible. It's quite shocking, and I hope it can come to an end very fast.
When it comes to people who are trying to get through, there is a hard closure. They are being turned away. You know, just being down here right now, what do you want to tell people at home just about the severity, the magnitude of this right now?
Listen, I spent hours sitting at my TV watching it start at the Palisades and just watching it grow. And it's a different feeling when you're actually here, when you're miles away from it, when you're staring at it, you're watching the smoke grow. It's unexplainable. It's a feeling that I really hope you don't need to feel in your life. But sitting behind the screen compared to just standing here with you right now, and honestly, God bless you for doing this and showing people what is happening right now. It's just a different feeling. All I can say is just pray for the firefighters. For the families, for just. There's so many people involved in this that we just need to try helping. We've been trying to help, donating, doing everything we can. It's not going to stop anytime soon. We really hope it will. But in the meantime, just spread the word. This is severe. This is something we've never seen before. I know it's been brought up.
Why are you guys saying God maxing, bro? They're in a disaster. Y'all are so crazy. It's so strange to just like look at people who are trying to survive in a disaster and being like, oh, God, why is he not saying, oh, my science? Like, who cares, man? Why are y'all being so annoying? Like, be normal, please. Oh, my Lord. Why are they not science maxing? Why are they God maxing in this circumstance, in this crisis? Y'all are so dumb, I swear to God.
Around access to that water, it has nothing to do with protected fish species under the law.
Carla Namath and other California officials say one of the biggest issues was actually wind.
The fire is being fueled by...
They get it from you. That's my favorite type of chatter, who in the process of me course correcting will say, you're not course correcting. Like, how many times have I had this conversation?
Combination of strong winds and surrounding topography, which is making it extremely challenging.
Sending thoughts and null hypotheses to those affected. Yeah. Sending thoughts and logical conclusions. Sending thoughts and logic to those affected. Oh, my science.
For our personnel that are assigned to this incident.
Is there anything California or LA officials could have done better to mitigate the threat of these fires?
There will be lots of opportunity after this event to understand what happened, and we will learn from that, and especially in the context of climate, and we will adjust and move forward. I think it's really important for folks to understand that a fire suppression strategy for a wildland fire is not dealt with localized community fire hydrants. It's just not the right scale.
High alert.
All right, there it is. Let's talk about the real issues, okay? Reporter talking to enslaved firefighters. Today I was granted access to speak to the incarcerated firefighters. They told me they hadn't showered in 5 days. They were not provided regularly meals. They were working 24 hours in a row. They feel underappreciated and underpaid. We'll talk to them as well. They also said they all wanted to be there and that they see work as an important way to give back to the community. These fires exist in the context of all fires that came before. I think that's so overlooked. It's not like the fire fell out of a coconut tree, you know? No, it didn't. It fell out of a eucalyptus tree, though. Anyway, when people say thoughts and prayers when a shooting happens, isn't that cringe? Did you just American brain, dude? I'm not even gonna fault you for this, chatter. Okay, I'm not gonna fault you for this. There is a difference between natural disasters and gun violence. Gun violence is not a natural disaster, no matter how much Americans act like it is. There is no other country on this planet where people go, oh, that's a naturally occurring phenomena, gun violence. Okay? That's why one is cringe, because it's a very preventable issue, whereas the other, no matter how much you try to prevent it, can still end up devastating an entire region, because overcoming nature is quite difficult. There are actual actions that one can take to prevent these things, including fires. Yes, you cannot totally prevent the fires, but you can protect those who are more economically vulnerable. Oh my God. No, there is the reason why it's cringe when people say thoughts and prayers after gun violence is specifically because it is not a natural disaster. Okay? There is no way that you can 100% chatters, unless you have a wind machine that I am oblivious to, unless you know that there is like some kind of weather wind machine that I was just unaware of, you cannot combat 80 to 100 mile winds. Virtually every single professional that works in dealing with the harm mitigation has said as much. We used it to hit Florida. Yeah, that's true. We did use weather machines. One might even say that this is a weather machine turned on itself. Never heard of the HARP before, huh? And you call yourself a political commentator. That's right. Seems like this idiot is oblivious. What is this? Call me a conspiracy theorist, but there is no way that 8 different fires starting within a period of 48 hours in LA is due to climate change. Yeah. Laughing at clown world during the collapse of the Western society. Stop geoengineering. Stop mRNA. Reject woke ideology. No wars. Conspiracy realist. Coincidence analyzer.
Theorist, but there is no way that 8 different
You know she is huffing on that raw milk. You know she is drinking that unpasteurized Garbo right now, okay?
fires starting within a period of 48 hours in LA is due to climate change. You want to tell me that insurance companies canceling people's policies in these areas over the past few months, officials cutting firefighting funding, emptying water reservoirs, and being more concerned.
I love conspiracy theorists because they look at the crisis caused by constant corner cutting, profit seeking, budget reductions, and austerity due to capitalism. Okay? And they just go, there's got to be something out there. There's got to be a real crazy, not systemic factor at play here. Okay? Let me keep drinking my raw milk. I'm sure I'll find the answers there. It's always so funny. It's like they are so goddamn close. They are so close to kind of recognizing what's going on. It's a joke. She is fun. Check her interviews and podcasts. You think this person is joking? They have a homesteading account. They're selling healing powers of tallow.
After the
Letting the people of Hawaii, North Carolina, and now LA rot in these post-apocalyptic scenes while they funnel away our tax dollars to foreign countries. Look at the milk stain on her chin. It's definitely a joke. I don't think she's joking. And I don't think 48,000 people clicked on the like on this tweet because they were like, haha, this is a funny joke. I don't think she's joking at all.
About sending aid to another country is just coincidence? Okay. Call me. The fires. North Carolina, after the floods, supposedly received roughly $2 billion for disaster recovery. And now we have LA with Joe pledging 100% rebuild costs, just like he did with North Carolina. He even said with North Carolina, I'm here to say the United States, the nation, has your back. We're not leaving until you're back on your feet completely. So how is that going for the people of Hawaii or North Carolina? Because they are not back up on their feet. They even had to pay property taxes on properties that don't exist anymore, and they are still living in tents. Is it possible that these events are just part of a massive land grab for things like 15-minute smart cities?
The American century of humiliation is upon us, and it's a self-inflicted wound. The American century of domination is over before the century even ends. Okay? We couldn't make it into the 40s. We could not have 100 years of pure domination. It's done. The American century of humiliation is upon us, even though we are the hegemon. This is a self-inflicted wound born out of profit-seeking parasitic forces that have consistently undermined education, that have destroyed this country. Wow. The Burger Reich is shitting and farting itself to death. It's so bad. That fake journalist who went to the empty reservoir earlier and just asked questions and did not answer any is basically just doing TikTok brain like this girl here, but just a little bit more official. Yeah.
And you may be thinking that $2 billion is a lot for disaster recovery, but just a few weeks ago, Joe pledged almost $6 billion to be sent to here, bringing the total amount of aid sent to here around $175 billion that we know of. And you still think your elected officials care about you? Okay.
I like that chatters were convinced that this person is so insane that it must be satire. That's cool. Hi. All right, we're gonna get to the looting in a second. Let's
turn it back on. So it was almost inevitable.
I gotta go pee real quick
this
again.
was going to occur. We always need to have boots in the ground. The idea that they don't have boots in the ground and some of this terrain is inaccessible, they need to get firefighters or crew members in there separating the burned from the unburned. So some of the feeds will show the aircraft doing outstanding jobs as far as the helicopters making pinpoint drops, or some of the fixed aircraft making retardant drops, which is great. But at some given point, you still need to get boots in the ground to separate the burn from the unburned to get containment lines in.
Well, that is a story we've been telling, actually, for all these days, that there just aren't enough resources to go around. And it's just extraordinary, Daryl, when you consider how many fires are burning. And while there might be one that's drawing all the attention, you certainly cannot let the others just go. So there are plenty of people, plenty of fire officials and professionals that are handling all those other fires. And we kept seeing so many little spot fires pop up, little vegetarian fires.
Yeah,
not vegetarian fires.
But what we have seen this morning, Chief, is the air power has really been extraordinary. We saw one home burn, but talk about the value of those resources and how important they are.
Yeah, I think that today you can see the significant value and investment that we've made at the state, local, and federal level as it relates to aircraft, because you have aircraft from all three entities. And you can see the impact that it's having today because the aircraft are able to fly. The helicopters have water sources where they can quickly pick up water.
One of the coolest military-sponsored projects with the federal government is the utilization of bomb droppers. I think it's called MAFS. It's so sick. MAFS C-130. Okay. They literally they changed their payload from actual bombs into fire retardant material. MAFS equipped with C-130s joined the fight against raging Los Angeles fires. A C-130 MAFS 9 from Nevada Air National Guard's 152nd Airlift Wing performs a water drop. They either do water drops or they just straight up deploy a payload with like water in it. Yeah. Modular Airborne Firefighting System is what it's called. Where they take C-130s and they just bomb the fire. U.S. Northcom has activated 8 C-130 aircraft equipped with MAFs to relocate to the Channel Islands in Southern California to support firefighting efforts in the LA area. Some will be operational on January 10th. All will be ready by January 12th. Anyway, C-130s are awesome because they can fly slow while being so damn big, which means they can spray more ground. Yeah. That is the appropriate usage of military equipment. Okay. MAFS was instituted in 1971 as a collaborative effort between the U.S. Forest Service and the Department of Defense to produce equipment, training, and operational procedures to integrate military air tankers into a national firefighting response, Northcom said. The U.S. Air Force explains that MAFS unit can fit inside C-130 airplanes, is installed without any structural modification. And within 2 hours, the MAFS equipment has a jet blower type nozzle on the rear left side near the bay doors. The carriage unit consists of a cylindrical tank, pumps, and other electronic control, and operation units that are loaded by Air Force loadmasters through the rear ramp. Here's a video of it. Yo, I used to subcontract these parts of the C-130, but you convinced me to quit, and now I'm a union organizer with AFD. Thanks, dude. I am broke, though, now. Like, really broke. Lol. Okay, I'm sorry. The system can discharge a fire retardant load of 3,000 gallons, which is 11,356 liters for the Euro cucks in the chat, in less than 5 seconds through a discharge tube located in place on the left rear paratroop doors of the aircraft. Released from an altitude about 150 feet, the retardant covers an area 1/4 of a mile long and 60 feet wide, with the plane returning to an air tanker base to be refilled again and airborne in less than 20 minutes. Interestingly, this very capability that the CL-415 Super Scooper seaplanes offer by landing on a large water body to refill their tanks to 7,000 liters, which is 1,850 U.S. gallons in Freedom units of water in just 14 seconds to quickly return to attack the fire. Other fixed-wing aircraft cannot execute continuous drops like the CL-415 and thus need to land back at an airport to refill. California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE, also provided more details about how MAFs will be deployed. Unlike CAL FIRE air tankers, MAFs aircraft are not initial attack qualified and require an aerial supervision module lead plane in order to conduct drops, says the agency. This typically limits their use to established extended attack incidents, which help keep CAL FIRE and other IA air tankers available to be quickly dispatched to new fires. MAFS unit's retardant is made up of 80 to 85% water, 10 to 15% ammonium sulfate, a gelling agent, and red coloring. The red in the retardant acts as a color code, helping pilots see where they have dropped previous loads. The retardant itself disperses as mist, preventing damage to buildings. The MAFS crews participate in recurring annual training, with each unit required to have 5 certified personnel for the role. It's sick. Yeah, you need to use your tactical deployment speak. I mean, they are. Here's a MAFS unit operational in the state of California, dropping flame retardant liquid. Deploying flame retardant liquid, 8,000 gallons worth. Sir. If it's white, it's probably just water. C-130 aircraft fighting fire seen in the CNN video at 4:15.
Fern.
Dude, it's sick. Look.
Some other smoke trails as well. So they are trying to save this community. That is where the battle has been joined. A lot of air assets, trucks on the ground, fixed-wing aircraft like this.
There it is. Sir, yes, sir.
Wow.
We have tactically deployed the flame retardant matter, sir.
It is extraordinary to be standing here.
C-130 is going to be tactically making a landing.
And feel the power of that aircraft go right over you and watch it just swoop down so low. It is rare in life you see an aircraft swooping that close to houses.
We watched 3 choppers drop their...
Is it just me or is that plane just looking fine as hell? I agree. What? It must feel so good for a Vietnam era plane to drop chemicals on forests. At least this one is to save lives for once. You know what I mean? It still gets to do what it loves to do. It still gets to do what it was tasked to do, dropping chemicals on a forest. But this time it's to save lives rather than, melt Vietnamese villagers.